Budget Review Subcommittee on Justice, Public Safety, and Judiciary for the 2025 regular session. This morning, we are going to hear from representatives of the Department of Corrections who are here to discuss the Kentucky correctional industries, provide an overview of sentence credit for program completion authorized in the biennial budget, and an update the subcommittee on the expansion of the Little Sandy Correctional Complex. So I call this meeting to order, and we'll call roll.
Representative Bray. Present. Representative Decker.
Present.
Representative Kulkarni.
Present.
Representative Sharp.
Present.
Representative Bowling. Representative Elliott. Representative Petrie. Chair Dietz.
Present. So at this time, I would ask our guests to make their way to the table. And if you could, once you're settled, go ahead and make sure your mic's on and introduce yourselves.
Good afternoon, I'm Hillary Daly.
I don't think it's on.
Here we go. Sorry. Good afternoon, I'm Hillary Daly. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Support Services for the department.
Good afternoon. My name's Scott Jordan. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Adult Institutions.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for coming. First on our agenda is to ask for an overview and an update on the Kentucky correctional industries. So I don't know, I can let you start with giving us a brief update on services and where we're at since the budget.
Absolutely. Established in 1954, Kentucky Correctional Industries, we call KCI for short, is the original and longest running reentry program for the Department of Corrections. Employing over 400 inmates and 37 department staff, KCI operates 15 industries in 11 of our institutions. This includes 4 farms. Plant operations include clothing, license plates, furniture, embroidery, metal, braille transcription, mattresses, janitorial products, and 1 prison industries enhancement certification project that we shortened to PICEP. Through January 31st, KCI's expenditures were $5.8 million with revenues of $6.8 million. Would you like me to pause there for questions?
Yes. So can you, what was the total, the first number was it
5.8 million.
Okay. And can you explain to me maybe what that difference is in the expenditures and the income and budgeted for?
Yes, as most of their funds are restricted funds, the General Assembly was gracious and appropriated us a little bit of general funds this fiscal year. Currently, their revenues are exceeding expenditures by $1 million, but farming season is soon upon us, and depending on the market for seed and fertilizer, that may change, of course. We greatly appreciate the general fund support and investing in this highly important program for our department.
Was that appropriation sufficient to cover the difference?
Yes, we believe so at this time that it is sufficient.
You can go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Would you like me to move on to program credits? Okay. For fiscal year 2024, there were 37,113 program completions for the department. This includes inmates in prisons and jails, as well as offenders on community supervision. As of the end of January, the following amounts have been paid this fiscal year to jails for program completions. $6,128,000 for 90-day sentence credits, $1,654,800 for 60-day sentence credits. Total expenditures through January for both attendance and program completions for county jails was $8.1 million. To date, 67 jails are participating. Additional participation would require some additional funding. And our most recent recidivism rate is 30.81%, which is a decrease of 1.06%.
Thank you. Do you all anticipate that the number of county jails participating in the sentence credit program is going to increase over the biennium?
At this time, we don't anticipate that additional jails. There are only very few that aren't participating at this time. And in saying that, GED is required. Some of those jails may just not be reporting or requesting the payments for attendance. We may see, depending on the population in the county jails, of course, that could affect the total expenditures and program completion amounts.
How does the jail, I guess, opt into the program? How do they decide if they want to be a part, or how do you choose them?
Well, we have an approved program matrix, so they would essentially apply, and our reentry division would review and approve that process and application, and then we also complete program audits through our compliance division.
And if someone wanted to start to participate, is there an additional cost? Are you all anticipating what would that cost be?
Just for the program completions and credits, there wouldn't be any other cost.
Okay. And then I'm sorry, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to go back, and I have a few questions on the revenue. How much are the inmates paid?
Okay, that ranges. So those working in a manufacturing type environment, it's hourly. And that ranges from 68 cents an hour to $1.28 per hour. Those inmates working on the farm is a daily rate, and that is either $3.02 a day or $1.51 a day, depending on whether they are eligible for work for time credit.
How are those rates set?
They were set long ago, and of course, we do try to do raises when our budget allows. They're set by categories and type of job.
Do you look at that annually?
Yes, we do.
And then what do you base that on? Where do you come up with 68 cents?
That I would have to get you more information on.
Okay, I would like to have that information. Sure. I guess my thought is we're making money off of that, correct? Their labor.
We're supporting state governments. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't see it. Well, it's kind of like operating a business and a program, and so really we seek to break even.
Is there any thought on minimum wage?
Well, that is actually the PICEP program that I referred to earlier. The inmates that are participating in that at KCIW earn a prevailing wage. So that's $11.18 per hour. And we hope to expand those programs.
Representative Bray has a question.
Yeah, thank you. When these inmates are in the KCI program, obviously they're kind of on the state has to pay for their housing, their medical, and all of that, and they've got the option to go into different sectors. I would imagine. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's at the inmate's discretion. When they complete the program or when they complete their sentence, are there any kind of workforce reentry certifications from their experience through KCI that shows, like, let's say the inmate was in the manufacturing sector, that would give them the ability to more easily find a job post incarceration?
Yes, we don't always have certificates in some of our manufacturing plants, but that is really the goal of the expansion of PICEP programs. So we're exploring one that will be at Luther Luckett Correctional Complex that will give those inmates a certificate in kind of a pick-pack operation, so it would qualify them for work with Amazon and UPS.
Okay. And then you said the recidivism rate was 30.8%?
Yes.
And that was down 1%?
Yes.
So do you all have any kind of numbers or projections that if we reduce, and this is just theoretical, if we reduce recidivism by 1%, it saves X number of dollars in the long run?
I don't have that with me. That's something we could certainly work on and see if we can get it back to the committee.
Okay, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Decker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm trying to keep up. I don't know all these. And by the way, thank you for coming and
you're
giving
welcome.
this presentation. But I'm trying to keep up with the different names. So KCI, that's you. That's your.
Kentucky Correctional
Yes.
Industries.
And
yes.
then you mentioned a KCIW.
My apologies. We use acronyms
Yeah,
quite frequently in our department. Kentucky Correctional Institution for Women.
Okay. And is that at Pee Wee Valley?
Yes.
Okay. And then what is the precept program? Or, I mean, PICEP? I don't know what you said.
That's the Prison Industries Enhancement Certification Program. So that enables inmates to work with private organizations and earn a prevailing wage. Now, PICEP employers must certify that no workers will be displaced by participating in the PICEP program.
Okay. And then you talked about having that a lot of jails, maybe all of them have GED programs. Maybe they're not asking for being paid for those programs. That would be a program that they would complete and get paid for having had that, graduates.
Yes, as well as attendance if they chose to follow the process.
So this is within the Department of Corrections. Do you work with the Department of Labor in the GED adult ed?
Yes, we do.
Is that part of the KCI? And I'm asking a bunch of questions. I'm sorry. So is adult ed part of what the KCI? Is it? Do they work elsewhere too than KCI? Do you know?
No, I mean, we
Adult
do
ed.
have adult education programs within our prisons, if that's the question I may be misunderstanding.
Okay. Is that part of KCI?
No, we have a whole entire education division that oversees adult education programs.
I'm trying to get a grasp on all the different reentry programs. And it sounds like they're just lots of places. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Kulkarni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of questions kind of relating to some that have already been asked. Kind of piggybacking on what Representative Bray was asking about your reentry programs and participation. What is the process, for instance, with partners? Who are your current partners? You'd mentioned Amazon and UPS. This is specific to the PICEP program.
Yes.
So what is the process, for instance, if an employer wants to become a partner to participate on that side? What do they need to do?
They would contact our KCA staff, and I'd be happy to send a flyer back to the committee if that would be helpful.
Yeah.
That outlines the process.
That would be great, just to have an idea of what,
Sure.
is there any, and I'm so sorry, I have also, I'm just kind of asking a bunch of questions. Are there any sort of eligibility criteria for employers that, do they have to be a certain size? Do they have to be in a certain industry?
Not to my knowledge, it's mainly about the certification, about not displacing any of their current staff.
Okay, got it. And my second question is, what have you found in your experience? You mentioned the recidivism rate has gone down. What has been the trend, let's say, over the last 10 years in terms of an average rate of reduction? And what would you say are the largest contributing factors to lowering that rate?
Certainly evidence-based programming and employment opportunities. I do not have the trend chart of recidivism with me, but that is another thing that we could send to the committee. I will say when I started in the department many years ago, I believe the recidivism rate was well over 40%.
Okay, thank you.
Couple more questions on their pay. So whether they're in the PICEP program or the other KCI program, when they're paid, does their money go to the commissary? Does it get directed somewhere else? Where do their earnings go?
Each inmate in each facility has what we call an inmate account, so it is within our offender management system, and it manages and keeps up with their earnings and what they may spend in the commissary. So it goes to individual accounts.
So with PICEP, they're earning much more than if they're in the other programs, right?
Yes, that's correct, but there are required deductions for if they owe a child support obligation and to the Crime Victims Compensation Fund.
Okay, that was my question. So are those automatic payments that go out? Do they set that up, or is it like a wage withholding order?
It would be similar to a wage withholding order. Our system is programmed to deduct that before the inmate actually receives the money in their account, and then our business offices in the prisons would facilitate those payments to the correct entities.
Okay. And nothing like that set up for the KCI, any kind of their payments back to anything they may owe, restitution or child support or anything like that?
Not unless it's court ordered during their incarceration.
Okay. So if it's court ordered, you have the ability to do that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions on the programming? If not, I'd like to move on to Little Sandy.
Okay.
The expansion of the Little Sandy Correctional Complex is completely on target, and the projected completion date is June 25th of 2025. Once the completion date is reached, we will begin the process of moving inmates at a rate of about 50 a week into the expansion. We move 50 a week because that is a safe and manageable amount. You cannot move all 400 or 800 at one time. In preparation for that, we have hired some staff to meet the expansion. We continue to recruit and hire staff in security, programming, education, reentry, increase in our medical, our food service, everything that would go with growth. We will not fill those positions until we start to increase inmate populations so we can fill them in a fiscal responsible manner. But we are actively recruiting for all of those positions. So the good news is everything with that expansion is right where it needs to be.
How many staff are you going to have to hire to fully staff the expansion?
The total staff that we'll hire to the expansion is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200 more staff.
In addition to what you've already hired?
Yes.
And is the plan to do that as you hire, as you get more inmates?
Yes. It just doesn't make good sense to have the staff in place before we move inmates, so we're going to try to bring staff in as we're moving inmates in. Obviously, they'll be a little bit beforehand, so they'll be trained and ready, but we're not going to hire all the staff next month and not start moving inmates until 6 months down the road.
Do you anticipate any problems with fully staffing as you're moving the inmates in?
Well, we do not anticipate in that area that we will have the staffing problems. History in that area of Eastern Kentucky has been that we're staffed pretty strong. We hope that continues, and I think that we're competitive enough in that area that we should be fine.
Yep.
So I'll apologize. I'm not really familiar with the specifics of the Little Sandy complex. How many? How large is the facility? How many beds are within it?
Right now, it is over 1,000 beds, and when this is complete, it'll be close to 2,000 inmate beds.
And what was the total construction cost of that? Do you know?
I do not know. Hillary, I don't know if you brought that.
I don't have that with me, but that's something we could report back.
Okay.
She's the brains. I just manage prisons.
You're just the arm candy
Yeah, that's
today.
it.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. If you could get that to me, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you
Yes.
all.
Any other questions? If not, this meeting will be adjourned, and we will meet again on February 18th. Thank you.